So I was doing the usual, doing some spicy topic posting on the shorts, and I've been looking at longer form videos. We did the Savage World stuff just because I wanted to get that back out in the public. And then I put in I just like a one line kind of concept over to Rich, my business partner, and it just said, you know, uh, the picture at the end of the book and Thane. And I was listening to a personal story, and of course Rich is like, hey, I would be super curious to hear the personal story. He said he knows a little bit about it, which is true, but he's like a lot of people who don't really know the full thing. And so here we are. We're about a week out, yeah, a little over a week from when Thane, my son, when he died at the age of 13 from cancer. And the video is not about, I guess, this is a weird one, but this is about the effects of gaming and why I game in general, and what gaming did for us as a family, and how something so simple really helped a child who was incredibly ill. We'll get into that. Just sort of deal with some of the things going on in his life that were, of course, beyond his control. So, yes, I think gaming can be therapeutic. I do think that. I don't think it's probably a replacement for, professional help if that's what you need. But, I know some therapists use it, whatnot. It's not what this is about. This is really about just kind of an experience that we went on. Thane was born with some heart complications, and it wasn't until about 2.5 years into it that he was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy. And that's basically this: his heart was enlarged on one side. If you're not aware, your heart in your chest is about the size of your fist. And his heart, when he was a little dude, 2 years old, his heart was the size of my fist, which is not good. And that just, it pushes things out. It's a lot of issues. You can't keep up the blood flow and the beats and everything else. So a lot of complications with that. He had a heart transplant, and it was, it is a thing. We were told very bluntly by the cardiologists that you're trading one problem in for another. They were correct. But it's the trade that you make. And we don't really, well, I won't speak for my wife. It's just not really fair. I don't ever say that I don't ever say I'm thankful that it's a hard topic. Yes, having the heart transplant saved my son, but that heart transplant had to come at the cost of someone else. And that someone else was a 12-month-old girl whose family of four, mom, dad, older sister, and her, and they were struck by a drunk driver, and he was doing upwards of 70 in a truck against their little tiny four-door car. And that was his seventh DUI. And so the mom and dad, they were basically comatose. Not basically, they were in a coma. The older daughter, miracle of miracles, survived with nary a scratch. She had a broken arm. Physically wise, I'm sure there's a lot of psychological trauma that she still deals with as an adult now from this and from that event. And then the little baby, the 12-month-old, she died instantly. And that left the grandmother to make a decision for the family on their behalf. And I don't begrudge anyone that level of decision making that you have to do. But that being said, it's one of those weird questions where, yes, I'm glad that I got more time with my son. However, the reality of a transplant like that, especially in a child, it's not someone at the end of their life who's lived a long, fruitful life. It means a young life was also cut short. So we did the heart transplant, and Thane got into gaming at that point. We used to play a lot of video games. Little Big Planet, got Little Big Planet, and he loved old school games, Tetris. There was a few others that basically the harder the game, the more that kid loved the challenge of the game. And then, for instance, he would do Little Big Planet and create levels, spend hours doing a level, and then I would tell him, "Hey, let's save it." And he would just stare at me and have the controller, and you see the screen menu start popping up, and then like that, delete it, delete it. Hours of work just gone. He just didn't care. So very interesting to see in a young kid, especially where it's just no. He was definitely not the kind of person who wanted to the experience at the end. It was the experience of doing that carried him forward. So a lot of video gaming. He had a heart transplant. If you're not aware, when they do a heart transplant, there's a nerve they snip, and you no longer can tell when you're overexerting yourself. So it is what it is. We're very careful. He still got to run a little bit and play outside and all that jazz, but he wasn't an outdoor kid. Just for that reason and a few others. There's a lot of meds and the immunosuppression and all that jazz. And so there's a lot that goes into it. That's why they tell you it's, you're trading one problem for another. So our daughter's older by a few years, and my wife, they were willing to kind of humor me and Thane, and then we started doing a few games here and there. When Thane was younger, we started off with Hero Kids, which is a really cool system. It deserves all the accolades that it has. Thane really enjoyed it. He had a good time. He enjoyed experimenting with the characters. I don't know if adventuring was really the biggest draw for him. I think it was the making of a character and to pouring his imagination into something. And even though it was something on a piece of paper, we would go and find art online or pictures, but nothing was ever really, in his head, which is understandable. So we did that for a while, and because it was really, it was an easier game. It's meant for children, especially the younger kids or children who may have some learning issues. And when you're in a coma, which he was for a little while, there's also a few things that come out of that. Then we we did some old school D&D, the Red Book. I still have his character. He made Frodo. He would humor me and watch Lord of the Rings. He thought those movies were pretty boring. I get it. But to be fair, I would also fall asleep with him if we were chilling out and watching Nickelodeon or anything else that was going on. So I guess turnabout is fair play. But he made Frodo. He thought it was the coolest thing. He made a halfling. He was shorter. He was on the shorter end of the spectrum. And we played a couple of times with that one. And then it was kind of back and forth on that game. We tried a few other things just to kind of see what it is. And that's really where I started experimenting with game design, was trying to figure out very rules lightish games that would, be fun for someone that, they can express themselves in ways that are kind of different than most players. Most of us play games and we want to see the long campaign and we want to do the drawn out. We want to see the character grow. And so I started experimenting with systems that were just like, let's just make something and we just do it for a minute and then we're done and we'll do something else. And we can make something else. And that was right up his alley. And he really seemed to enjoy that. He took right to it. It was, he started to get easier to express himself. I think he opened up a little bit more, and like all people, I think it was a good way of combating sort of what's going on inside, and you can't explain it, and you're not really sure how to tackle it. So it was really good to see that every monster becomes, something. And this, when I say he was young, he was, this was before he was 2010ish or so, and then 2010, we found out he had cancer. And that was a massive blow, to be honest, like it is for anybody. It's like, oh, okay, well, shit. We're going to do what we did last time. We're going to fight this. That just meant a lot of time in the hospital. It meant far less time and far less energy doing things together like that. The exertion was just exhausting. The chemo rounds, they're very taxing on the body. They're incredibly toxic. Um, we did that, and it was very nice. The folks who make Little Big Planet was very sweet. We reached out to them, just let them know kind of the situation, and it wasn't like, hey, free things. It was just if I'm going to have a child who's passing from the earth, I want someone to know the things that they have done mattered. And like, I know they see the sales and all the accolades and people talking about all the creations, but I'm always feeling that people who are creators are appreciative to know that at a fundamental level, something that you have created that is entertaining millions, it means more than anything to someone who is incredibly sick, incredibly ill, and cannot, get up and run around and play football or hunt or skateboard or anything else. So I let them know that, and then they responded, and they actually sent us a copy of the Little Big Planet kart racer. And before it was launched, I think we got a disc, I don't know, maybe 6 months before it was launched, and it was just like, hey, please don't say anything to anybody. It was a known thing, but like, don't take pictures or anything, because I get it. There's still a business, and there's still, I guess you have to be a little weird, leery of what's going on here. But it was good. We have good pictures of him. We would sit and kind of mess about with it, and then the cancer didn't get him that time. We actually got, we got out of the hospital. They didn't finish the chemotherapy, and but it still some more setbacks. And so we kept playing. He was older. His mathematics, were a little bit better, a little bit faster. His imagination was running wild. He was a huge Lego fan, and I still have tons of Lego sets. And it's I use mostly for miniatures if I play in person, to kind of honor him. And we tried Savage Worlds a few times. It's a great game. It's just it's some of these games are tough. The crunchier you get, the harder it is for the kids who are definitely have some challenges in their abilities. And it just is what it is. It's not a knock on the games. But yeah, we would do that. We would go back and forth, and he would help me create some of the stuff, and I would be able to ask him questions on what he thought sounded cool. And then in February of 2014, Castles in Chemo came out, and it's a very cool little adventure. Very sad adventure, but it's a very cool adventure. It's very heartwarming, and yes, it's the whole point of the adventure is you're fighting, like the monster of cancer, and you're using them. Chemotherapy becomes the magic and all that. And we got a chance to look at that and really, really explore if there was, if he took to the tropes or to anything else. And then that October is when he died from cancer. He came up like screen positive, which was weird, for cancer a second time, and that was pretty much the end of it after some experimental chemo meds. And you hear people. I guess I got the idea for this vid because people will talk about gaming this, gaming that, and yes, it can help people, it can change lives, but it can change lives. Gaming is one of those things that has kept me going through. We're looking at a family. We've got our daughter. They're a military family at the time. I was gone 80 to 90% every year, and then dealing with an incredibly ill child. My wife was great. I could not have asked for a better partner in life than her to handle the tremendous amount of pain and just the stress, the work that it takes to do this and to maintain a family to go forward. And gaming was always an outlet for me. And I think I probably fought more demons than Thane in working on games and being a creative and trying to, I don't really do it for the money, which everyone says, but I don't know if people really, really truly mean it, but I don't. I always think that there's someone out there who might be going through some real terrible shit in their lives. And if something that I have created helps them, in even a small modicum, to get through at least one more day, you know, yeah, it's 100% worth all of the effort that goes into it. I do get to fight a lot of demons. Like I said, it's just true. That's part of the point of writing and creating things, and subconsciously, you're really going at things, and it really shapes your worldview, and that will come out in your writing. And then I didn't realize how much it all affected me until there was a new edition of a game that I love came out, and this is after it was after everything had happened when I got the book, and people were kind of complaining because of the art had changed, and there was all this weird stuff, and I don't think they really understood it, but it was near the end of the book, and you're seeing all these cool characters. It's these two characters, a man and a woman who are going through the book, and they're in different genres, and there's little quotes, and it looks almost like it's like crayon or marker of their quotes, and they're making fun little quips throughout the book, and the book looks like it's almost like a binder, like an old Trapper Keeper that's been put together, and you got your characters taped or clipped to the pages, while you're making your notes in the side pages there. But there's the picture at the end, was that was a moment that really hit me, and I cannot say thank you enough to Shane Hensley, Clinton Jody Black, Chris Landauer, the rest of the team at Pinnacle Entertainment Group. They have not only made a game that's incredible, that piece of art, it is the fundamental moment when you realize that there are other people who also get it. The picture is a person running a game, and it's with two kids, a little boy and a little girl, who are in a chemo ward. And yeah, so I guess stop complaining so much about what a game is and what a game isn't. I get it. We're all going to have opinions. I still do it. I talk mad shit about D&D because, yes, it's fun. But I know there are people that probably love that game because it helps them get through a lot of things. And so, yeah, we're all kind of in this together in the same. And that is sort of a personal story about why I game and why Savage Worlds specifically will always be in my heart. It wasn't a piece of art that was virtue signaling. It was just a culmination of all the things in the book that were running through it. And that one moment is captured in one fantastic piece of art. And that's when you realize, all right. So, yeah, don't worry, more spicy topics coming. This is the last time it's dour. Until next time, stay savage.